All right, Slight Edge. I don't know what week we're on, but we're on chapters 13 and 14. Yeah, really love these. I'm actually just going to move stuff because, it was a brilliant idea for me to use like a banquet size table as my desk. But can I tell you how many more piles I can have? Amy and Sherry, there's a lot of piles.
Yep.
We're just going to spread out. It's fine.
Yep.
What I don't like is people coming into my office and thinking that they can make their own piles. That's not allowed. It's just simply not allowed. So, all right, let's go to chapter 13. I feel like the chapters are getting shorter as the book is progressing, so that's good. Oh, thanks, Chelsea. She said happy birthday. Thank you. My balloons are in the back. They're, kind of muddled, but it's fine.
We can figure them out.
Sorry?
We can figure them out.
You can figure them out. That's good. When I was taking pictures, there were some pictures you could not figure them out. Like, why? Yeah. Anyway, whatever. All right. Learn from mentors is the title of chapter 13. You must hold your head high and keep those fists down no matter what anyone else says to you. Don't let them get your goat. Try fighting with your head for a change. And that's a quote from To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And so we've talked about the two other types of learning, learning through study and learning through doing. And now we're kind of embarking on the mentorship, knowledge through modeling. So which book were we in? Was it 21 Laws or was it 5, The Power of 5? I've Maxwelled so much that I can't keep my Maxwell straight. When we were talking about, I feel like we're going back to a book that we just recently did, where it was talking about finding a mentor. Do you remember, Sherry?
Maxwell talks about mentorship in a number of his books, so it could have been.
So I'm right, regardless of how I.
Yeah, perfect.
But it really does go to the idea of you are, and this is the topic of the chapter, you are most like the 5 people you spend the bulk of your time with. And I know that over the last 2 years, that has been a smaller circle or ability to find those people. But I just want to ask, like, how many of you guys feel like, and I know that everyone's at different stages of being able to type in the chat or unmute or whatever, but I know that there are some times in our lives that we feel like I don't have a mentor. So I would love to hear if you feel like you found one or where you look for mentorship. Or if you feel like you're stuck and you need some direction as far as finding a mentor in your life or finding those 5 people. I do have some solutions, and I'm sure Sherry does also. Anyway, I'm looking at my finger in the reflection of my camera this morning, and it doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to. But we had some really good lessons learned in my kitchen yesterday. Chelsea says, I feel like I need a spiritual mentor. And Chelsea had actually asked me about SABs, and I haven't gotten back to you yet. But I'm just going to put out there that Sherry's been a part of a lot more of this coaching than I have been. But Dr. Tina has been just so fantastic. She just ran a very short Supernatural Advantages of Doing Business by the Spirit workshop, and it was fantastic. We both really liked it, I think. Well, I'm sure we both really liked it. You liked it the last time we talked about it. And I think that spiritual mentorship has definitely, or she has definitely become one of my spiritual mentors, but also I would say like business, and like I don't even think that there's only one pocket for her in my mind. So I would encourage you that if you can get in on any of her her stuff, Chelsea. She is pretty fantastic. A little harder to access because she doesn't do social media. She doesn't have a podcast. She doesn't have anything that's really at no cost. So yeah, Sabs was really fantastic. Sherry, I don't know if you want to give your 2 cents worth in with that.
I'm going to talk just a little bit about mentorship, maybe in a bit different angle, in that I think we need different mentors at different times in our life and for different reasons. And if we start thinking about the value in a mentor and what we're looking for, we'll find them. Whoever they might look, whatever and they might be the most or the least expected person. When I felt like I was looking for strategies and tools and equipping, Emily and Brooke were incredible in terms of mentors, in terms of learning that next level for me. And it's funny because then and for this last while, I'd been thinking about, I just need something more or different or the thinking piece. And Emily came out with her coaching. And as that's progressed, that spiritual side felt like it wasn't getting the attention that it needed. And I wasn't just sure how to bring things together. And along came Dr. Tina. And so I think the person that you need will come. I think the trick is to recognize that person is in your life. I think it's like the guy on the roof, and we've all heard the story, the guy on the roof who was asking God to come and save him. And a boat came along and no, I'm waiting for God to come save him. And a helicopter came along and no, I'm waiting for God to come save him. And anyway, eventually he drowns and he's in heaven. It's like, God, I called on you. And God's like, my word, I sent you a boat to pick you up. You wouldn't go. I sent you a helicopter. You wouldn't go. I think the trick is to recognize when we're receiving some of this mentorship, it's not going to be a fit with our thinking. That's why we need mentorship. We're going to say, I know it's like this. And the mentor is going to come along and say, well, what about this? And you're going to say, nope, it has to look like this. So go away. And so I think that's being open to what you're being offered. And then you will receive what you're looking for.
I love that. That is so wise. And what I heard you say first was had a lot to do with clarity and purpose, right? Like you need to be clear on what it is that you feel that you need is lacking, but then you also need to be open to the fact that the mentor that's going to come to you or be revealed to you in this, through this clarity, will also include pieces that you didn't know that you needed.
That's right. I mean, how often have we had people say, well, I want better health, but I don't want that MLM thing. I want more money, but I don't want that MLM thing. They're being offered what they're asking for. Yeah. But they're not accepting.
So one of mentors obviously has come up a lot in my discussions, but in one of John Maxwell's books, it talked about making your list of questions. So if Chelsea, I said, I am going to send you the perfect mentor. They are going to show up at 5:25 today. You get to talk to them for 23 and a half minutes. What's your list of questions? And what's the priority of the list of questions? I know, right? That's also why, like, I try not to freak out when we talk about mentors because I can't come up with my own list of questions. So it's, for me, it's that clarity and revelation that Janelle talks about, is when you clearly want help with Zoom, when you clearly want help with Facebook, you want to know the tricks, you want to know all that stuff. And Janelle's going to give us some of that. So she's mentoring us in that. On the life pieces, the podcast actually that I watch is Brooke.
Yes.
Knits.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's the life coach that Emily got coached in
Oh,
for
yeah,
the life coach.
it is the life coach. I'll pull it up.
And Castillo. No, that's not right.
Castillo. Yeah.
Is
Yep.
it?
Yep.
And so she talks about that variety of different topics and uses that thought model. Yes, her. So that I can think about, like, oh, that's not my issue today. And I can flip on a previous podcast and go, maybe that's my issue today and I should listen to this.
Mhm.
Because she hits, in my experience with her, is she hits all of the circles, including saying nothing is balanced, because the reality is you're finding your balance, which means every day is different. Every priority shifts up and down, that sort of thing.
Mhm. And I think we are in such a blessed time, right? Like, I mean, anybody who is ready to throw social media out the window and like technology, I feel like they're ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because never before has there been so many things available at no cost that are enriching, right? It can be overwhelming. And that's just the piece that I want to speak to really quickly, is that, we can get to a point in our growth where we realize our need in so many areas, right? Sorry, I'm just catching up. I'm catching up on the side here. Because you can say, like, I need a spiritual mentor, but I need a personal one. Like I need help with my marriage and my relationships, but I also need help with my business. And I really don't understand social media. And then you get like, it's everything. But what you need to do is you need to focus, right? And that's where I find, for me, brain dumping being so helpful, to put everything down. And then you can actually see the forest for the trees. Have you guys ever felt super overwhelmed in your day, that you just have all of these tasks that are mounting and mounting and mounting, and you're like, I'm never going to get this done, and you're starting to panic, you've got the anxiety that's starting, and you've stopped and you've written down exactly what it is that you need to do, and you look at that list and you go, well, why was I fretting over all of that? Because there's really not that many things that are absolutes that have to be done, right? And sometimes it takes, we all have spouses here that I think are really great at helping us sort of like cut through things. I know that if I made a list and I brought them to Nolan and said, I need help, can you help me figure out the important things? Or like maybe Amy and Sherry, maybe you two, maybe Amy can bring it to Sherry and you can say, hey, can you help me figure out what I need to do first? I'm going to say, you guys can send your lists to me if you want, and I can help you sort through what is the first step, right? Because yes, all of these things, we do need to learn, new things on social media. We do need to focus on spiritual growth. We do need to focus on personal growth. We do need to focus on business tasks. But sometimes it just takes somebody to come alongside you and say, hey, friend, it's okay. Like, let's go. It's sort of like helping a kid clean their room. Heck, it's like helping me clean my room, but it's like helping a kid clean their room. Okay, here's the deal. We're going to make your bed first. It is a certified disaster in here. It may get we may have to be evicted if we don't get this cleaned up. But if you make your bed first, that's where we're going to start, right? I'm just looking here. Stacy said, I feel like I need one, however, unsure what kind. I spend the majority of my time with my kids and my husband. I was thinking about that last night too, about how like, you know, we can kind of get pinholed into, these are the only people that I really see, right? I would really encourage you to look for opportunities to see other people. Like, and honey, no offense, I think we need to see other people, but it's not like that. It's just like, I need to see other people for balance in my own head. Sherry, I feel like you need to say something.
I was just going to say that just describes how I felt when I had 4 kids, 2, 4, 6, and 8, and 4, 6, 8, and 10. And they weren't really into school activities yet. And they weren't really into all these things. And I wasn't going to activities with them. I was at home. And it can feel smothering after a while because you're not getting outside ideas. You're not getting to run your ideas past anyone. And that's when, he mentions it in here, actually, the idea of a mastermind, the idea of being together with people and talking about them, like this book study, participating, engaging, sharing ideas, however, sharing them in the chat, sharing them verbally, being present with a different group of people.
Yes. This is exactly where I was going with this when I was reading this. I'm like, a mastermind? You mean like a group of people getting together and working towards the same goal on the same topic, kind of like a book study, right?
Yeah. And a book study, everybody has an opinion. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be an amazing or an incredible or a life-changing comment. Everybody's got an opinion, whether you read the book or not. You're listening.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're listening to ideas. And it's a good thing to be part of that. It's a growing thing.
I feel like the book is simply a framework.
Yeah.
It's just simply a framework, and it shows us what path we're going on. But people who come to book club or people who listen to book club, because I know there are people that listen on the recordings, especially in the summertime, and I'm so thankful for that. But please join us in the fall for Boundaries, and maybe even Go for No at the end of August. I feel like this is the community, right? This is how we build community. The other piece that I wanted to interject with was work and worship.
Yeah.
If you want to be part of a powerful group of people, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Saskatchewan, Alberta time, when you guys go to daylight savings, it stays 9 a.m. Mountain, and it turns to 10 a.m. Saskatchewan time, which is so weird, but it's okay. But yeah, come and be part of groups of people who are going the same places that you want to go. It's just like the the VIP Jewel training that happened, or the Jewel Spotlight, whatever they're calling it, that was on Tuesday night. You tune in to hear from people who are doing the things that you want to do, and you don't need to agree with everything that they are. You can pick and choose things, but you can't discount the fact that they are where they are because of choices that they've made. And oh, Stacy, that's so awesome. She said, I totally don't have the book, but I'm enjoying it so far. That's great. That's why we always say there's like a good, better, best situation with book club. Good is that you just come. Like, that's great. We're totally up for that, right? The only ones that really need to have read the book are B and Sherry.
And sometimes, to be honest, my reading is quite brief.
It's okay. We all
love the summaries. Yeah. This book has got wonderful summaries at the end of the chapter. They're brilliant.
Saving grace. Saving grace. Yeah. But, if you want to spend, if you're talking about mentorship, right? And you feel like you don't have the people in your proximity or in your circle, the easiest thing to do is to tap into these types of trainings that are with people who are like-minded. And I don't want to say like-minded, because we can honestly and I know I'm skipping far too far ahead. Oh, no, I'm not. Because in this chapter, he does talk about mindset a lot. is it this chapter or is it the next one? It might be the next one. Use your slight edge allies.
Well, I think in the
Um,
mastermind section, the implication really is 2 minds are better than one. And if they both thought exactly the same, you've just got one doubled. You want some different perspectives. You want somebody that makes a suggestion that you go, oh, that won't work for me. Well, maybe that could work for me. Well, what could that look like? How would I do that? Maybe. Like, you want some ideas that came to you from someone who also wants success in their business.
mhm. Yeah. And that's where you're going to meet people, like, honestly, even through the comments of watching some of those bigger trainings, you'll see the same people popping up over and over and over again.
Like Diana twice.
I know. Aren't we blessed? 2 Dianas. I'm totally up for it. But this is where you're going to make those connections with people, and you're going to find those people. Like, you may not have your 5 people, right? You may realize that you have fallen into a trap, and I will skip a little bit here, but that's okay. I'm saying it's okay. When you're talking about, and I can't remember again which Maxwell book it is that he talks about, there are some people who are a drain and some people that are a hose, right? And so you don't want to be a drain to the people around you, right? He talks in this book somewhere, and I can't find it. Oh, that's because I'm like way back. He talks about people who walk into a room and you can just feel the, right? Like or there's the alternate, right? Where somebody walks in the room and they're just a light and you're drawn to that person and they're just like, and I think about, I stopped and I was like, okay, so who are those people that I see? And right away I thought about Rebecca Folks, and she's a diamond in Plexus. And so again, this is why it's really good to go to big corporate events, you guys, because you see with your own eyes and you experience these people being different. And it's not because they're putting on a show. These people actually are. I'm sure that there are a couple people that are just putting it on for the cameras, right? You know what I mean? But for the most part, and we've talked about this before, the high achievers in Plexus are these people that just walk in and light up a room. They just simply are. You can't be around Amber Miller without feeling light and bright and happy and energized. You can't be around Emily Gibson and not feel like that. Like, there are so many of these people who are massively successful. And you look at how they carry themselves, how they speak to other people, how they make other people feel when they're in their presence. And you're like, oh my gosh, that is significance. Again, we'll go there. That is significance over success, because those people are chasing that instead of dollars. They're chasing that instead of houses and cars and whatever. And we have a newer person on our team that was on the VIP Jewel training, and we were chatting, and she was like, this is so different than any other MLM I've ever been part of. Because Eva had shared a really great story about being able to help and kind of a mission in Africa, just kind of a drop of a hat. Like, she was able to send money. She's like, I sent money within a couple seconds because there was a need, and I was able to meet that. And that's what I want to do with my business, right? And it was cool to be able to say to this person, and she's not an odd one out. This is what we see over and over and over again with Plexus leadership, that people are doing this because they want significance in their life. They want to be able to, they don't want the, it's like Dr. Tina talks about, she talks about abundance in finances, and not from a prosperity gospel mindset, but simply that God wants you to prosper because he wants his kingdom to prosper. And if resources are set in the right hands, they will do the right things with them. Like, send money to put a girl into the right school so that she doesn't have to be on the street in Africa, which totally changes the trajectory of their lives. School for women in Africa versus no school means like almost like certain death. Like, it's crazy, the difference. And so being a part of a company that really over and over and over again chooses significance over success, and their leadership does that, like, there's nothing like it. and trying to find that presence to be around those people if we don't know how to get there. If you weren't raised in that mindset, if you weren't raised in Sherry's house, if you weren't raised in Sherry's house, no, but if you weren't raised in a place where your parents encouraged significance over success in your life, it's okay to be like, this is countercultural to what I understand. I need to go figure it out. Everything's figure outable, and you can find that mentorship. We're so blessed in Plexus. Even in this team, I was thinking actually this morning, sorry, I'm rambling now, but I was thinking this morning about Sherry, and I was thinking about Diana, and I was thinking about Doris, and I was thinking about these women that have grandbabies, and how fortunate we are to have this wisdom on our teams, because with age comes wisdom. Sometimes, not all the time, because we know people who are stuck in ruts and they have been given the years to gain the wisdom, but these people choose to spend their time with us. And I'm so abundantly thankful for the wisdom that is on our team. Like, more, please. Like, no offense, I don't want to go find any more 20 somethings. I want to go find people who are having grandbabies, because like it hits different. Put it that way.
I'm laughing about that because some of the books talk about, go for no, you just need more no's to get to where you're going. I think us grandmas, we've just made more mistakes. we've just done more things wrong. We've had more meals that didn't work out, more burnt pots, all the things.
More burnt pots. So it's so funny because there was a youth leader at the Bible camp that we go to. I think it must have been in 2019 that I was sitting down and talking to, and he's like, I want to share my mistakes with these teens, because if they choose to, I want them to start on my shoulders. Like, I don't want them to start from the ground. I want to give them all of the experience that I've had, and then they can start with that, standing on that, and then they can keep going so that they can be so much better than me, right? And I so cherish shared experiences and value wisdom. But again, that's what you get through a mastermind type group. The shared experience and knowledge, right? I mean, some of us are going to have to try to hack through the weeds on our own. It's just who we are. Teens, it's just a thing. But sharing the experiences and knowledge is just, it's so valuable. So valuable. I do want to just throw a word of caution in, though. Take an assessment of the people that you're spending your time with. And it can be time in your business. It can be people that you have chosen as mentorship circles or mastermind circles or whatever. And ask yourself, are they a drain or a hose? Are they, maybe they're experiencing success, but their life, and I can't remember where in the chapter it was that I read this, but it was talking about their life should reflect the success that they're having in their business. And so if their life is not what you want, not like, I don't want to milk cows every day. I love where Amber Miller, where her heart is. If you guys don't follow Wild Style Family, I love that. I don't know that I'm going to go buy a pressure canner. I'm much more likely to, now that I've watched all of her stuff and she hasn't blown up, because that was the fear that was put into me. You don't use a pressure canner because it will surely blow you up. But that's not what I'm talking about. She is looking again at significance over success. She values family time. She values relationships. And you can see that, even though I don't grow my own beans and I don't do those things, I connect with her on a different level because I value significance and family and relationships and all of those things. If the person that you are spending the most time with is not showing fruits in their regular life, they're not showing the freedom, they're not showing all of those things, then maybe it's time to plug in with some other people.
I think it's on
It's
page
hard when you value family,
199.
but you aren't allowed to share about it on social. I think there's a way around that. I think that's a mindset. And I'm going to say it like just black and white. I think it's a mindset thing, because you don't need to show their faces in order to show your values. You can take a picture of pretty much anything and talk about any topic, right?
Yeah.
And I take it one step further. Like Diana, you can ask the Lord to give you an illustration. You could be baking bread in your bread maker, and he can give you the link to what you want to share about your values and bread. It doesn't have to be the faces, right? Because there are people who are in exactly the same situation as you, like exactly, and they need your voice. And so this particular situation that you have found so hard, that's your platform. And it is a crummy thing to go through, but it's your gift. Yeah.
I think it's page 199 that he talks, toward the bottom of it about taking heart by disassociating. Casual relationships deserve casual time. There's people that you can spend 2 minutes, but not 2 hours. There's people with whom you spend 2 hours, but not 2 days. His comment is, this part of slight edge thinking requires a compassionate awareness. Having compassion and having direction are not mutually exclusive. They take thought and discernment. And this is like, you're not judging those people. You're simply asking yourself to be honest about whether or not those relationships are empowering you and helping to support your purpose and realize your dreams. So this is nothing about judgment, good or bad, black or white, none of those things.
No.
That's just a choice. I'm spending my time today studying a book instead of whatever it is, watching TV. Like, I mean, it's a choice of your time and your energy. Doesn't make one better or worse than the other.
And I love how he said, the best thing I can do to serve the world around me is to keep myself in a state where I can best contribute. And I can't do that if I'm being dragged down by an environment of cynicism and self-pitying complaint. That statement right there really, really stood out to me. Because if we really boiled it down to it, I wrote in my post today about turning 40. My initial goal that I set out when I was a teen, it was this stupid, I don't even know where it was. There was a list that I encountered at some point. It was the top 40 under 40. And it was in Saskatchewan, like it was a provincial thing. And there was a list that was like the top 20 under 20. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make that, but my goodness, I could make the top 40 under 40. And it was full of entrepreneurs and people who were really successful by the time they were 40. And I was like, I want to be on that list. And the more I reflected on that this morning, obviously not on the list unless there's something that I don't know. I was like, in my mind, I had success in the forefront of my vision, but it changed. Years ago, it changed. And I didn't realize that it had changed until we read that quote from The Power of Five by John Maxwell about significance over success. And I would far rather become exceptional in the field of significance than be chasing success. But that doesn't happen by accident. And if I'm not watching who I'm with, I'm not watching who's pouring into my brain, if I'm not watching those givers and the takers or dimmers in my life, then that won't set me up to be significant. I won't be able to serve the world around me. And we've all been given a community to serve. right? And so if that is our mission, if that's the mission that we've been given, God given, if we don't protect that, if we don't protect our mindset in there, then we aren't going to be able to carry the purpose through that we have. Okay, so use your slight edge allies.
I really liked where he started out on this chapter about do a little bit every day.
Mm-hmm.
That consistency, that commitment. I think it's page 207. He talks about, I coach people on how to build successful businesses by doing very simple, easy to do actions every day. Just like the 10 core commitments our team used after that merger I described in chapter 4. I found it's far more effective to take one business building action every day for a week than to take 7 or 10 or even 24 all at once and then the rest of the week off. People who do the first week in and week out build a successful business. People that do the second don't, even if they actually take a greater number of those business building actions than the first group. And this is the part that I just found really interesting, because his comment is that momentum of doing just a little bit of every day builds your skill at doing it. If you do a dozen today and then don't do any for 2 weeks and then do 24 and then don't, you're not building the skill as you go along.
It's like muscle. It's like going to the gym. You can knock it out hard one day out of 10, but you're not going to do it as well as if you were consistently. And then I think right back to the go for no illustration, right? And it's interesting. And I'll share this with you guys. And Sherry and I were talking about this whole concept of, I think we really need to do like a 60-day focus. And the more I've been thinking about this, the more and Sherry and I were talking about this again before you guys popped on, but it's those little things that we almost forget are important to teach, right? It's like, we've been doing this forever, right? But then the people who haven't been doing it forever, where do they jump on the merry-go-round? Like, it's spinning and they don't know where the entrance is, right? They don't know how to do those things. So I'm really excited. I've actually, and I hadn't shared this with Sherry, we're going to have a really fun partner in this whole concept, because I just sort of started spilling ideas. And this is where you guys need to have people like Rosanna Penner. She's like, I'm totally on board. And so we're going to collide and try to put our ideas together and almost have our own little mastermind of things. And Sherry's going to lead, and she offered, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even go to her and be like, do you want to do this? She was like, okay, we got to do something. What are we going to do? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of thinking about this. She's like, great. And she went, whew. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Let's go. Right. But that's why you need to create connections and relationships with people, because you can start here and then your ideas and your thoughts and all of those things, they spark something in somebody else, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then all of a sudden you're like, whew, I could not have come up with that on my own, right? We're so much better together. So much better together. And so the idea of doing something consistently over time, and you never know, can we just say, sometimes we skip a step and we don't realize we've skipped a step until we go back to the beginning and we're like, oh, hold on a second. That's why I'm not getting the results that I want. I stopped doing this. So I'm actually going to drop a video in our Gold and Above chat. And if you're watching this and you're not a Gold and Above and you want the video, you need to message me, because I will give it to you. But it is a jewel video that is Brittany Howard coaching her team on the difference between holding or dropping points, holding points, and continuing to grow. And she has 2 sheets that she shared. I love the resources that they have. But again, another IPA sheet, and she just tells it how it is. And it's fantastic. So I'm going to share that with you guys in the Gold and Above chat. But But yeah, I'm excited. And it's like, I love how everything aligns, right? Like Go for No and the whole, like, we need to start, because what do you tell people when you start at the beginning, right? You're going to make a post on Facebook and you're going to think it's awesome. And it is awesome. And not a lot of people are going to like it. And you might not get a whole lot of people commenting on it. And you might reach out to the people that are really close to you and they might tell you no. And that's okay, right? We coach people on getting no's at the very beginning. And yet, where are we now? How many years, like Diana, how many years have you been doing Plexus? 3. Are we still coaching you on going for no? I feel like it doesn't matter where you are in this business. I feel like it doesn't matter whether you are in momentum, whether you're just getting your feet wet, whether you're like, I can't do this because nobody believes in me, whether you're at gold and you're backsliding and you're like, oh my word, what just happened to my business? I'm working consistently, or maybe I haven't been consistent or whatever. It doesn't actually matter. The same mindset struggles, the same activities are applicable for every single person in every single situation. Yeah, Diana.
Can I tell you a cute story? I know we're not doing the book about Go for No yet, but I've started to listen to the audio book. And yesterday we've been friends for a while. She's not a close friend. She's from the United States, and back and forth on Facebook, a little bit in Messenger. So yesterday was the day that I thought, okay, we're kind of making a connection. I'm going to reach out to her about Plexus. So I did, and just, asked the question, can I send you a video, blah, blah, blah. And her whole answer was in one word, no. And I just, 3 years ago, that would have sent me back to nobody. Like, she said, no. Oh my goodness, what am I can't do this business. And yesterday when that happened, I laughed and said, next. Like, it was just such a funny feeling to me, because it was like, well, it's okay. There's not my first no. I won't say there's my first no, but it's my first no after starting the book. And it was hilarious. I actually laughed out loud.
Perfect.
Yep. And the crazy thing about no's like that is this is like a memory. This is like a foundational thing. You will remember this for a long time. And it could be in 2 years that this person goes, and you will have the foundational memory and be like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, we just needed, yeah, it's so amusing. And I love that you're like, oh, how many years ago this would have destroyed me. And I think that is going to be such a valuable piece when we're going through this book. So you need to share that again.
Well, that's why I love personal growth so much, because you can look back and say, oh my goodness, how would I have reacted 2-3 years ago, right? Yeah. And it would have been totally different, let me tell you. Yep,
totally true. Did anyone feel slightly called out at the bottom of page 210 where it was, I often see people make the mistake of thinking they're being productive because they're being busy. I was like, ouch, like that almost skidded a little bit. I feel like I got a skid mark on the backside of me, because sometimes you can and especially with our business, right? It's not like it's not like you're packing boxes for a living. And so you can be like, I'm just putting my phone down. I have no distractions and I'm going to pack 36 boxes in the next hour. No, sorry. We work on social media. We work in the epicenter of distraction, right? And so you can scroll with a really oh, I'm just going to look to see who I can comment on their posts today. And all of a sudden you're on Zulily and you're looking at pants that you didn't know that you needed or whatever, right? Like, no, stop showing me these ads. No, I don't want these. But yeah, the busy can really be, a thing. I also really liked on 211 all the questions that he had here. everybody's busy, everybody does the actions, but do they do the right actions? Were those actions productive? Did you take a step forward? These are questions most people never take the time to think about. Did you eat well or did you eat poorly? Who did you associate with today? Did they empower you? How? In what way? Like that whole bank of questions is amazing. And Stacy, I'll take a picture. Are you in our, we haven't used that chat for a while. Let's see. I'm going to just, because she, slide.
While you're looking, I really liked what he said about, we all make that to-do list, but do we ever at the end of the day write what's done list, that what did I do? And his comment was, he says, this is what the exercise did for me the first time I did it. After the first few days, I found that by 10 in the morning, I was changing my normal course for the day and engaging in more positive actions. So that by the end of the day, my done list was more impactful. So that I thought was really an interesting, just a little pivot on things that many of us do anyway, but a different way to think about them.
Totally. I did really like that. And I actually do often do that. Like I do something that isn't on my list and I really want to check it off. So write it on the list so I can put a check mark beside it. I said, I've already done it. And it makes you feel like so much more accomplished. Like, wait a second, I didn't do the other 6 things on the list, but I did this, right? And part of that can be silly, but it's just the way that my brain works.
Right. And I think the piece of this that I appreciated was doing it at the end of the day and recognizing, did what I do today move the needle forward? Not did I just check off 10 things instead of 6, but did I do today the things that reflect who I want to be?
Yeah. And again, it goes back to that whole anxiety piece of I've got so many things to do, right? You can get to the end of your day and be like, I didn't get anything accomplished. And I know we've been here before. We've talked about this before, but did you really get nothing accomplished? What did you do? Write down what you did. And then all of a sudden you see all the things you did do. And maybe it wasn't the things you had to set your intentions of doing, because I don't know, have any of us ever had a husband come in and like, Sherry, just decide that you need to go however far for parts or whatever, right? Like, or a child who forgot their lunch for school and you're like, okay, here I go. So much for my day, right? Like there are so many things can throw us off track, but it doesn't mean that we didn't do anything of consequence.
And I think that moves us right into that power of celebration, because how often do you write on your to-do list, play outside an hour with the kids?
Mm-hmm.
If you do, good for you. But I didn't ever write that on my to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, when I'm reflecting, if I wrote played outside for an hour with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
I would realize that that's an absolute alignment with my values. It's an absolute alignment with who I want to be as a mom or a grandma or as a person, that I wanted to invest that time in them and use that as a piece of your celebration of the day. No, it wasn't a day. The whole list I made yesterday, none of those things got checked off, but it was a really good day because it aligned with my values. It is who I am. It reflects who I am. And it gives me that moving forward momentum in terms of relationships and being.
Yeah. And I think something that I love about this, like all of these things that are things to think about. I mean, we're not going to adopt 100% of the slight edge. You're going to find a slight edge in the slight edge, and you're going to apply the slightest slight edge to your life, and you're going to continue to go forward.
Start your morning with hydrate instead of whatever you were doing.
Yep.
Slight edge.
Slight edge. Exactly. Maybe you're not reading 10 pages a day. Maybe you're reading 3, but 3 is better than none. Right. And I just like, again, what I love about book club for me is that it gives me accountability to be growing in a specific direction and digesting a specific amount of information that is aligned with where I want to go. Right. There's so many podcasts that come up in a week. There are so many trainings that come up in a week, and you can, like, your brain can be going in so many different directions, but at least with the book that we are doing together, this is the vein, this is where we're going down. And oddly enough, most of our conversations then for the month or for the 2 months that we're doing the book, they really center around the book that we're doing together. And I really love, I have to say, I love that you guys commit to growth, because I love building relationships centered around growth, right? Because how many times, again, we can go back to this, the drain, the hose, the whatever you want to talk about. You sit down with people that maybe you have history with, and what do you talk about? You talk about, what's so-and-so doing, or what's so-and-so doing, or, do you remember when this happened like 20 years ago, or, whatever. And that's okay. It's kind of benign unless it's negative talk, right? But it doesn't put you forward, right? It's sitting, talking about thoughts instead of sitting and talking about people, right? And it really does hit different. It really, really does, right? And then, talking life application through all of it and all of those things. And then when you sit down and you get together, like however many times that we're able to in a year, maybe twice, however that works, you see the people who are growing, because it's changed since the last time, right? And we're all growing together. And I love that. So, all right. Do we have one more week or 2 more weeks? I think it's 2, right?
I think there's chapters 15,
15,
16, and 17.
17, 18. Yeah, we've
And
got 2 more
18.
weeks left.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks, and then we're off onto the Slight Edge, which I'm sure we will be weaving into life before we even start, because that's just the way that it goes. But would love to hear in the chat from you guys today what your biggest takeaways have been application wise with the Slight Edge in your life, because we're almost done the book. But yeah, just so value the wisdom that's here, you guys. And thank you for coming, even if you guys are, driving tractors or whatever it is that people are doing. And thanks for checking in on the replay. That'll be up soon. Really appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Amy's saying walking when you first get up. Put that in our chat, in this chat, not in this chat, because we want to show people that are in the chat what we're doing. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Take care. Bye.